probably a substantial increase.
Probably. Okay.
The resolution says a substantial increase.
Okay. Well, so can we assume that other things that are in the resolution that aren't in the plan are things you do?
Well, no, but the plan says that, or the Cooper evidence also speaks to the question of there are a lot of nurses who want to come here.
Okay.
Our evidence says there's a high demand for those nurses. There will be 1 million demanded by 2020. So there are
1 million demanded by 2020.
Yeah.
Which piece of evidence do you think indicates that there are 1 million that would be willing to come?
the Cooper card, the Humphreys card.
Okay. Can you read me the line of the Cooper card that you think says we can meet this kind of
This Humphreys piece of evidence is probably a little better than that question.
Okay.
It says that nurses want to.
But before that, where is Humphrey in the 1C?
That's the last card.
Okay. Bowen?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
This evidence speaks to the presumption laws work for time false security. Migrant nurses are not primarily motivated by financial gain, they're primarily motivated by a place to stay and work permanently. Okay. Which means that
I'm not saying the plan does not create an incentive. I'm saying the plan creates an incentive for enough people.
Well, our evidence speaks to
quantifies how many people.
Right, well, our evidence speaks to the Cooper evidence, which does sort of say that the plan will be the only way to get enough nurses in here, and this Humphreys evidence speak to there is a demand for nurses, or a supply of nurses, but it's a question of
Cooper evidence, I agree, speaks to demand. I don't see where it speaks to supply.
No, this evidence,
I don't see a number anywhere in this part.
Evidence indicates there's going to be a huge demand.
Yeah,
that means we should do the plan to solve it. That seems like it should be.
Well, yeah, if those nurses exist, which is something that I also am kind of wondering about in the context of these
This evidence says that right now.
So here's another question. Let's talk about your Steinberg evidence, which talks about viruses that self-replicate, and in other words, can sort of spread in an airborne way. If that is true, how could we possibly have enough nurses to be able to solve that?
Our evidence says that nurses would contain those, and also be able to develop vaccine capabilities. So our Graham and also our Graham Child evidence says
nurses don't develop vaccines.
I'm not finished yet. When either develop vaccines or distribute developed vaccines and create quarantines. Graham Child evidence also says that a sufficient deterrence capability, which our evidence says,
did you read vaccines uniqueness?
Stop the attack.
Did you read vaccines uniqueness?
We have not read a card that says anything about vaccines.
So this is all about us having vaccines to these viruses that your own evidence says is kind of unstoppable. Well, I don't understand. How do nurses solve these massive outbreaks of self-replicating viruses?
We made a quarantine argument, a public health isolation argument, and
fair enough.
That's what public health infrastructure does in times of crisis. Our evidence also says that sending a signal of greater deterrence stops the attack from happening in the first place.
That's fine. You're at a hedge impact to the budget, right?
Yes.
Why would they cut military spending as opposed to other forms of spending?
Not the key question. Our evidence says we're heading for a hard landing in terms of budget now, where the vast majority of our debt is placed in other countries. That destroys the perception of us as being economic leaders. It also means that over the long term there will be skyrocketing inflation rates and interest rates, which will destroy the
Kathy, do you want to take more prep on it? We only took 2 minutes, so we're good.
That's okay. It's 4 off.
Get out the fifth sheet of paper just in case.
I got a bunch, so.
So it's 4 off, and then the possibility of another off.
Okay.
Bioterrorism, and then the budget advantage. I'm gonna take this one. That one doesn't need. Do you mind if I move this?
You're gonna move this.
Huh?
Alright.
Just do that next time.
So 4 with potential 5, and then what was after that?
Right now, there's 2 still.
Hold on, actually, I'm really sorry. We'll take another second.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Is there any case of defense that you would let me hold?
Was the only impact of budget? Right, yeah. Okay, I have 742, but. Alright.
Same order?
Same order.
What was your other piece?
It's okay. It was bioterrorism and then the deficits advantage. I'm gonna put this blue piece of paper here, just and I'll flip to you, so just like, but I just don't want to move. All right. gestures made unconditional, their political affirmation contingent on law, economic exchange, cultural differences is incompatible with true hospitality, resulting in violence, Westmoral, and innate. The only hospitality for encounters the conditional individual was recognized by one side to see health, through which people can be fed and non-citizens, non-citizen hospitality engage the economy of exchanging the violence, not for hospitality hosts, impose certain conditional accounts because of the ethics, not because hospitality is not credit to we guys hospitality in terms of limitations, hospitality is never fully open as always. Some balance the distribution of visas and political strategy for inclusion injects sovereign authority into migration turns the case by making all inclusion temporary and fleeting. This is Salter and 8 sovereignties we constitute 3 distinct constitutive members. The militant by borders with the mobility of the decision to expel the real performance of sovereignty, the performance comes with the teach of completely ask for recognition, the kind of convention, solution, decision, the realistic identification of any part of the sovereign subject is always be available for exclusion, the representation of the strategy, crucial is with operation, sovereignty, the same as always be right to attack its own citizens can see this to be a highly subject self-definition and within a temporary front within a general condition of war. The impact is every enactment of conditional hospitality devalues life, makes fast determinations possible, and Jana and 6 borders are taking fast, great, sensible, unnecessary, existence by means of surprise, reducing difference, regular alternatives, security, and management community. But the other thing is skilled by considering something to importance of civilization, so the other is threat to challenge, which is the massive threat to thought of liquidity, they protect their communal essence, they can print their communal essence from the immigrant. The alternative is to vote negative to refuse the community established by the affirmative in favor of using your ballot. You endorse an unconditional gesture of hospitality. This is Dominus and Numerian 7 idea. We give by first rejected conception of community equals about closure. We must reject the assumption that the fact of communities built on closure, the purpose of upon a foundation of bonds, races, different forms of belonging that do not like the constitution of the community. We must recuperate the potential of community as without the rethinking Marxist shift in the way in which we mobilize community, shift the question of away from identity to identity that consistently works to produce more political relationship. I see a before that is tied to this person community ruptures the foundational violence from which community is building. Our person of work and community to identity by the alternative conception produces new networks of relations of community as an interruption to be the possibility of collectivity because an act of interrupted by the community called work continue on work with the totalizing and exclusionary mis and collectivity public community is predicated now. The politics is that Obama will successfully change strategy on energy to move away from caps and support gas vehicles and will pass this by limited partisanship. This is seeking alpha from your website or actionable stock market opinion analysis and 10. The climate change act is a limited will cover the shift in the practice of present complete from the measures is good and progress is in the dark force of the taxes suggested after that excellent opportunities after markets to return to limited practical legislation be gone enough to garner by support police and border owners should be the range of objectives for those climate change concerns actions could be practiced support could be generated huge opposition exists here increasing EV visas. This is human events online in 18,004 climate visas on topics in 140,000 after that increasing overall immigration levels something the majority of Americans strongly oppose political capitalist keep moving energy legislation in the lane back. This is Dustin Berkley, CEO Manufacturers Alliance in 10 given then your right life after starting meaningful action plus for the fast people and the likelihood to push representative of alternative pilot staff automation. This leaves the president key role he could move you these have compromises how the president chooses to act as crucial environmental rules must have the support to go into effect supporting natural gas for truck self oil dependence. This is from Penske and 10 embrace natural gas as the delivery the open free whole American economy is going to supply natural gas ability to discover research that could go to world's largest gas supply a crucial question reaches energy policy will determine the things that burgers for 80 people around natural gas if the truck started producing natural gas rise up to opposite to pharmaceuticals more fueling stations but carrying natural gas more automatic to embrace the technology old demand is outpace protection and optimal alternatives to key to avoid economic collapse great power resource wars across the globe. ASPO and 10 which is facing a significant energy crisis so the global demand for worldwide also by some technology when it's down to climate not for energy drive our economy we expect price the economic price to be the new normal. The warning from our most resistant texts are clear. The addiction to oil sensitive will down 50 temporarily to die for ultimately opportunity without a change. The resource from government military agencies help to distribute oil supplies could usher in a new era versus what's right economic concept that would take tax rate on result to push faster things down. The pattern for the last next year's economic impact on China and India extinction. Oregon 3 American military agenda to protect global resources versus the semi-existent education for their continued existence while in competition is pursued with available weapons of mass for self-construction not just of indigenous citizens but of humanity. And most of the virus here and now is brain drain. Countries are curbing medical professional recruiting. This is Hegelian and China countries are ready to curb their active recruitment practices. The United Kingdom and Norway have adopted policy recruiting health workers from severe tribal countries. Canada has ramped up training programs such as create less make preferred trained health workers. The US should follow suit. Any brain circulation is swamped by brain drain returns. Only health countries with industries that are already taking off and empirically doctors leaving Africa and increasing disease parasity. And 6 what if someone's to turn brain damage not seen to break circulation but this is word of coordination evidence of reverse that the flowing back to certain is far from convincing. The evidence for this comes to South Korea and Taiwan is already advanced in our and gain microchip makes it considerable absorbed capacity increase because of condition for significant reverse hydration or trends and take the most of the rate circulation is highly asymmetric. Reversal seems to be far smaller than initial outward flow and the latter can be massively destructive as appeared with Ghana and near doctors and nurses. This risk global disease outbreaks Ethiopian and time recruitment of their doctors and nurses and with the depressed communities and time conflicts the right to health the loss of investment continues to form a reverse aid and unpressed global health discovery vaccine says no good and there is no one to administer them. Diseases will either burn out or coexist with their host workers with apocalyptic I don't want to read that last card. Risk global disease outbreaks which accesses their aim of the one is the to issue a comparable number of employment-based visas to the affirmative, beyond used or unclaimed employment-based immigrant visas the government should to issue a comparable number to the affirmatives, number of employment-based visas. Unused or unclaimed employment-based immigrant visas allocated from fiscal years 1992 through 2010 allow unused or unclaimed visas to be carried over into subsequent fiscal years. The process was decisive on their being very ambiguous about to what extent they increase into it, which should justify any kind of 2NC further clarification of that argument. And it's not just not an increase in visas avoids politics draconian. And 85882 does not just increase the number of available visas that add to visa caps and bill fine visas. Due to bureaucratic inefficiency, 557,000 additional lawsuits will be available for use of red coalitions, presidential avoids politics and solves the GIP. And Chinese recapture has been both funded and outside of long numbers of practice cycle majority are practice and provision. All this does is reauthorize visa visa unauthorized not issued the copies of the immigration service are liquidated about 350,000 employment-based fee of conservative measures act of 350,000 visas are recaptured that result in all private sectors that become currently illegally for passage on now. The next out is posse comitatus. There won't be resources for quarantines absent the plan. That was the cross-ex quarantines will use the military destroying posse comitatus. This is Watson and 5% attempt to impose military quarantines. The elimination of posse comitatus one of the Bush administration to impose posse comitatus last week. The military after law enforcement Bush. Deal military violence quarantines instead to acclimatize people to accept or to law, military quarantine, and quarantines destroy posse comitatus. This is Winston-Salem.
Next part, sorry.
This bottom one?
Yeah.
That will compromise civil military relations, collapsing readiness cone into American officers have their historical signature facility control, understanding the proper boundaries that work effectively together with civil that civil military relations have deteriorated military claim, a federal national security decision making, that access to the money seat hedge your head now, the bad terms of advantage there, and no risk of escalation. This is Eastern Burger 3. I've never lived up to their building in 1971. 3 people died, no epidemic followed. 1979, I published right after Scott. Was open until 68 died, no epidemic considered the Black Plague was third pathogen in history in society for public health office agency, no information extended to the community, and decent fund introduced into taste Western World War encounter taught, not public health like sanitation, array of medicine specifically engineered to kill by agents, no super plague, and reckless webcam community particle seems unlikely to happen in the future. There is practice in order of magnitude that has never been demonstrated, which is the reason why I should be intrinsically skeptical. Their impact arguments, also their uniqueness, assumes an upward sophistication of technology, and if that is true, nurses would never be able to solve that. The argument is laughable. Also, Russia and China would have absolutely zero incentive to escalate after a violent terrorist attack because that would guarantee extinction there. And Colonel Lincoln's from Oncology Times, which I'm pretty sure is not a credible source. Also nurses don't, nurses don't have any kind of deterrent effect on any kind of terrorist that would be willing to launch a bioterror attack. Also, your author indicates you'd have to be a bioweapons source to solve. This is Oxen 2. The American system of the Violence Institute raised to a grade there can be no security. All weapons must be destroyed legally. All genetic engineering abuses must be halted. All bioweapons they dismantle no risk of an epidemic terrorist to be taken. Bioweapons can be pressed fire 2. It's likely pressed because actual biological weapons because of the computer use Canadian intelligence reports to access this means different fear of mass intelligence pushes to the American government when considered equal techniques that the provided. WMD to terrorists. Now the second advantage there is no risk of a short-term economic collapse. We are in 1030. Our real GDP grew at 8.2%. The third quarter crashing periods of double into the term. Double effectively misnomer. There's really some different in theory for such recovery. The need for the time to the track of the recovery there is no impact to economic plans at 3 and 9. When you're going to testify and covering your with cascade field of risk of the Great Depression will lead to political and simple bias and predictions have not materialized. There is the Great Depression by massive policies for the economy and the course of the damage social safety nets things are known years back with the 19th which played a tiny role. The economies also they cancel their internally because it's about debt servicing. You have no evidence to indicate that we would have stopped selling our debt to China. Also, that's trillions of dollars, which is I'm pretty sure that affirmative cancel all that. Also, there's no effect of decline in hegemony capacity. And all the major powers remote like the state of legislative have to dispute or goals like the legislative probably dispute about the major powers to justify any nuclear weapons that all hold and make this to sustaining an international order that would avoid large-scale conflict.
This posse commentist dissad says that Bush, who's no longer the president, wants to impose military quarantines. I understand that in the cross-text we said
that is the only place.
Right, I understand that I understand that in the cross-text we said yes, nurses quarantine people. We're talking about nurses that work in the domestic sector. Why would they be?
Okay, if there's a self-replicating bioterror attack, how are you going to force people to stay near the disease?
Your evidence says that doctrine is not only happening now, but will be enforced by the military, not the public sector.
You said there can't be quarantines without nurses.
Okay, the question of visa recapture, your evidence says, your link evidence to the dissad says, More employment-based visas on top of the 140,000 cap for that visa category means increasing overall immigration levels, something the majority of Americans strongly oppose. Now, that is a bad link card, but how does the counterplan not
Yes, we've read
do
two
that?
pieces of evidence which speak to that differential. Our evidence indicates that it wouldn't be an increase that would be the result of the counterplan, but rather a recapture of visas that have been lost due to bureaucratic inefficiency. And our evidence speaks to the political perception
Your
of the
evidence says
difference between the
bringing
counterplan and
more
the
people in is unpopular.
No, that's
The counterplan would bring more
one,
people
false.
in.
Our link evidence, our ATO evidence is talking about increasing visas. Two, we read two pieces of evidence which indicate that it is about an increase.
This HEO,
What is politically unpopular, the counterplan is not an increase, it's popular.
Okay, the natural gas decide, your Dusterberg card does talk about Obama's political capital, but it doesn't talk about this natural gas bill.
It does. It talks about climate legislation. Our uniqueness evidence contextualizes this and indicates that the natural gas vehicle tax credit will sidestep status quo
Your uniqueness evidence says
because they're breaking up the energy bill into smaller chunks. Our internal link evidence indicates that Obama's leadership is necessary to get that passed.
Yeah, your uniqueness evidence says, though, that the reason why Obama broke up the energy bill was to avoid controversy.
Precisely. Our
Where
evidence
in this
says that.
evidence, though,
Our
does it
evidence,
say that there's a chance that this will still be controversial?
there's a chance it'll still be
Right,
controversial.
your uniqueness evidence, clearly your Dusterberg evidence does not talk about
Yes, our internal
LNG
link evidence
specifically.
indicates, well, look,
It talks
both
about
our
energy.
uniqueness and our internal link evidence indicates that Obama has sort of a sufficient political capital to push energy, but in smaller chunks. That's what our
But you have
Dusterberg
no
evidence
evidence
is
that it'll like
talking
be a
about.
fight. Right.
There'll be a fight.
The Visa K or whatever, in the alternative, world of the alternative, what does immigration policy become?
Well, our
Your evidence says we
alternative
should
evidence
exclude
indicates
it.
that by rejecting the affirmative, we can sort of cut the umbilical cord from status quo sort of discourse about immigration and open up
What is
a
immigration?
space. Well,
Right
it's
now,
certainly
we
not
set visa
conditional. Well,
quotas.
our link evidence describes the reasons why visas are sort of intrinsically sovereign or sort of recreate that
Right.
sovereign exclusion
But
because
all your
they're
evidence says that we
inherently
shouldn't
conditional.
have, right, that we shouldn't have exclusion, we shouldn't have
The
inward
visas are themselves exclusive. Submitting for a visa requires
So no more
process
visas, no more
to
visas.
the state. Yeah, well, the alternative
Does that mean
is to
citizenship for
welcome.
everyone?
The alternative is to welcome these people unconditionally.
So everyone gets in.
It's not everyone. The question of the affirmative is nurses. We answer that question by saying we should welcome them, not give them visas.
Ken,
I have a case, but I just want to make sure. See, this nurse escalation is that
Yeah, that's Easter
Easterberg?
Yeah.
That it says Republican. Did you have any more than that?
remember that?
I think this word.
This is not just guys. Do we have any other reports? Oh, that's cool. I just printed all my answers, so
Okay.
we'll roll that. Because I did a bunch of work on this.
One of the Comcast.
I can highlight this. I don't have this.
That is exactly what you should be doing.
I won't tell the Liberty people. I know it's going to feel like leisure scholarship. It's against the rules.
Sure, it's frowned upon. It's frowned upon, right?
Did you read the whole long season back now?
221,
Yes.
right?
There are two cards.
Oh,
February.
Let's do drugs. Too bad we just driven down to Foxwoods. We couldn't get all that money in that either way. Put it all down and be like red. You hear about some guy in England who did, he like sold everything. He's got like $19,000 in like Vegas.
And you put it on, right?
He put one off them and he won. He doubled it. Literally everything.
All right, stop right.
Can we get 1NC stuff back, please?
Yeah. Who's got our drum drive?